of what millennials are today. I mean, advertising dollars, advertising agencies, that's their number one priority. If you're a nonprofit and you have to have a bright future, you have to be addressing and meeting where they are this next generation. They will lift you. They will make your work more exciting. They will find new pathways for you that you might not have been thinking about how to address challenges. So I don't know your board situation, but hopefully your board's having a conversation around what really matters. And I don't know an organization that would say this next generation, which is the future, and by the way, it's not 10 years out the future, it's now the future, okay? Reaching them where they are should be job number one.
The next question, I think, builds on what Ken had mentioned, and that's the work of the Center around place-based initiatives within communities. In your experience, what role does philanthropy have in shaping strong communities, and what extent does individual leadership play a role in transforming those communities?
Yeah, well, I really meant what I said with all sincerity when I came on the stage and said, I've been so impressed to meet people here. It's quite clear that you guys have a really strong, heartfelt passion as leaders to address the needs of your community here, and it's really impressive to see. Philanthropy can play a very exciting role, a catalytic role. So we use our philanthropic investments to basically demonstrate, as I said, sometimes do experiments, et cetera, with the hope, and actually our teams create business plans for what we're going to do. They compete with each other for, how this sort of zero-based budget is going to happen. But as part of that, when we review where we've been at the end of the year, we say how leveraged were our programs. And, the idea there really was, were we able to use our influence and our money in a catalytic way so that we brought others to the table, and now there are many more sort of pushing forward. And I think that role of philanthropy is really important. But I also must say, we've always said there's no amount of philanthropy that can make up for jobs that are missing. And so, I think it's so important to pay attention to the economic health of the community that you're in, because without basic access to jobs, philanthropy is trying to hold up the ship, right? But the ship is sinking. So I think sometimes philanthropy doesn't see itself as in the role of building jobs, but I think the first social compact is a job. And if you have a good, pathway to jobs in your community, you can then use your philanthropy to do so many other meaningful things to improve lives.
Absolutely. Okay, this one I would almost turn backwards because I'm the one that needs help with technology, not the youth. But can we better use technology to increase giving and engage the next generation of philanthropists?
I absolutely think we can. And as I mentioned before, we've worked on a number of different, so because we're cross-sector, we work with brands all the time to try to drive this. So we've done Twitter campaigns, again, in some cases just more as the trainer, if you will, of the brands that are face forward. Twitter campaigns, mobile, different techniques that we've done. We've done text messaging campaigns to raise money, et cetera. And the amount of dollars and support coming through these technology attempts, it's really, really quite impressive. So I do think technology can be huge, no matter the organization you're in. And in the same way I said you have to really, be reaching millennials where you are, the world has really changed. What are we doing? We're holding this thing all day long. So make sure you have a smart strategy for how you're present on this thing. That's what I would say.
Okay. And that just leads into, what is the foundation doing to engage young people in philanthropy?
Yeah, it's a big part of our work. And again, we publish every year sort of the MCON work, the MCON data, we do the conference, et cetera, but it really is an all-year thing that we do. I personally spend time mentoring. I probably have between a dozen and 18, mostly young women, that I'm trying to mentor who are millennials, and I get more out of that than they do. And I'm really thinking about it right now because I have about 10 that are getting ready to graduate and don't yet know where they're going. And so I want to put a plug in for mentoring because in some ways, because I'm the beneficiary of that, you might imagine I'm a big champion of it. But because I actively do it, I just find that it's really, really great stuff. It's fun. I feel more rewarded than the mentees that I spend time with. And if, I often on social media just put out a note that says, so who are you mentoring? Someone needs you today. And if you're not mentoring, and we tend to think of mentoring as, oh, I don't have an hour a week, or it doesn't have to be like that. It really could be just one conversation with a young person and then some touch-base time so that they know there's someone that they could go to get a perspective. For me, it was so invaluable. I know I would not be sitting here able to do the things I'm doing today, but one person said, I've got her under my wing.
Would you do this in the middle of the night? I mean, you have such a full plate of, I'm mentoring 10, 12, 16 girls.
Well, sometimes I take them all to dinner.
Oh, collectively.
So, sometimes I do that. Email's pretty efficient. Text messaging's pretty efficient. I'm very excited. I have an MBA that's graduating from Georgetown in a few weeks, and she just got her dream job. And I was able to work with the CEO to say there's an extraordinary young woman I just want you to open your mind to. And that's, she's off now, okay? Return on investment, I don't think you'll find anything you can do in your life that will equal mentoring.
Agree. So someone wants to know, what was the name of that eyeglass company and where can they buy them?
I have the great privilege of knowing the founders. It's Warby Parker. And I'd say if you want to, first of all, they're the hippest, coolest. In fact, at USC, I bet if we had some students here, they'd be wearing Warby Parker glasses. The cool thing about Neil Blumenthal, their founder, I often put him on stages like this, and I've done fireside chats with him, is that he makes the point they're a social enterprise. As I said, their mission is really to build a terrific company so that they have a sustainable path to fund delivering eyewear to the developing world. But Neil always says, look, mission's really important, but if we're not doing our central business first, which is being a hot brand that everybody wants, then we won't be successful with our mission. So what I love about the message that Neil brings, and it's often misunderstood with social enterprises, is you have to be great at your core business first, right? And when you are, that enables all kinds of ways for you to take your mission forward. But if you start with the mission and you don't have a compelling product, it's much harder to reach scale and sustainability in the mission. But their glasses are cool. I own them. I try to wear them sometimes when I go on campuses. But check them out. They're online, and you can order them.
Good sales pitch. And then one last question. Where do you see philanthropy going?
Oh, I'm so excited about philanthropy. But what I'm really excited about is maybe something we can't even name as we sit here this morning. I mean, the world is disrupted. No matter what role you're in, no matter what sector you come from, right? Nothing's the same as it was. And we know change is only going to continue to accelerate. So, I think that there is a way you can go forward in trying to change the world in which, you drive down in philanthropy, or maybe you want to be public sector, and that's. But what I love about hanging out with, young kids is they're unleashed from those silos and that baggage. They see a world in which it's not really about, are you government, are you nonprofit, are you philanthropy, are you, academia, whatever. They just want to go change the world. And so what I think is if we look around the corner, I think we might see whole new classes of almost governance, if you will, of corporate form, okay? Maybe not necessarily nonprofit, maybe not necessarily for-profit, maybe hybrids. That's what some of the social enterprises are. And I just think, we need to always unleash ourselves from how it's been and think about what it needs to be going forward. And I'm super encouraged. I was super encouraged talking to all of you this morning and seeing the great stuff that you're doing and the way you're thinking out there. And I can't wait for the future.
Yeah. So we're ending on a high note. We have hope for the future. Thank you, Jean.
Thank you, Jack.